today. This is Talking Europe on France 24. I'm Catherine Nicholson. Now, you've probably heard this a few times in recent months. Nobody is safe until everybody is safe. That's in relation to the pandemic, of course. It is a phrase that's become something of a mantra here in Europe as member states work to get their people protected from COVID-19. But the question is, does everybody include just the people who live inside the EU, or the rest of the world as well? Well, in her recent State of the Union speech, the European Commission's President, Ursula von der Leyen, acknowledged that fewer than 1% of vaccine doses worldwide had been given out in low-income countries. A majority of members of the European Parliament recently voted to demand the temporary lifting of intellectual property rights protection for COVID-19 vaccines specifically. But it was a bit of a slim majority, and the decision will actually be taken at the World Trade Organization a bit later on. Well, here to discuss some of the issues with us, two people who voted in opposite ways. Marc Botenga, a Belgian MEP from the Left Group, who voted in favour. And opposite you, we have Cristian Bușoi, a Romanian MEP from the European People's Party. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, let's start off with, really the necessity of vaccinating beyond the EU. We have spoken to vaccine and virus experts on France 24 who say, the pandemic can't just end in one country or just Europe. It has to be everywhere in the whole world. How high a priority is vaccinating the entire world?
I think it should be a priority because, as you said at the beginning, and I think everybody would agree, we are not safe until the whole world will be safe. Of course, we need still to continue and to to accelerate and finish the vaccination in Europe. We have different situations in different member states. I coming from Romania, Romania, we still need to accelerate a little bit because the rate of vaccination is low due to vaccine hesitancy, which is a situation also that we could find outside Europe. And this is something that we should also do beside donating or making sure that some of the doses will arrive in most poor countries. We have the COVAX mechanism. As we speak today, or maybe a few days ago, it's more than 300 million doses that were distributed in more than 140 countries around the globe via this mechanism, and European Union contributed heavily to this. So we done something very concrete for people outside European Union, but of course much more could be done.
Well, indeed, Marc Botenga, a lot of donations, as Mr. Bușoi says. Ursula von der Leyen also pledged millions more doses into 2022 as well for the wider world. Why do you want things to go further? And tell us about this idea of the waiver of the intellectual property.
Well, the matter really is that whatever you're donating, it's not enough. We're speaking about 300 million donations, but COVAX, so the international mechanism, actually promised 1,400,000. This is a lot more, and they've got like 3 months left or something in order to get to that number. So they will never make it. And we see now the results in countries in Africa, in low-income countries. We see that they get to 5 or 6% of their population that has been vaccinated. So these are very low proportions. Now, what is the idea of lifting intellectual property rights? That means that basically we allow all countries or all companies that want to produce the vaccine, that can produce the vaccine, to actually do that, right? So this has two components, saying, okay, we've got a good vaccine, we've got a few good vaccines, they're effective. Let's give this technology to the countries that can produce it themselves. There's a number of countries that are able to do it. I'm speaking about India, South Africa, Senegal, and so on. So let's do it. Let's get the vaccine out there.
And you voted against. Why?
Yes, because in my opinion, this is not a solution. First of all, a big issue in producing the vaccines are the raw materials, the scarcity of raw materials. Waiving the patent will not solve this problem. Do not forget that before the pandemic, the capacity of producing vaccines in the globe worldwide was around 5 billion doses, and we talk about 10 billion doses of anti-COVID vaccines in 2021 as a target for production. So the capacity increased a lot without this patent waiver. Then it's not about the patent, it's about the know-how, about technology, transfer of technology. So even with the patent, it is not easy overnight to build a facility with safety, security, quality standards in just few months. Because the problem with the vaccines, of course, could be 2021, maybe 2022, even that the production is to be increased next year. The solution is that voluntary transfer. And you see already the situation where, for instance, long-term rivals like Pfizer or other companies, Johnson & Johnson, partnered with Merck, of course, respecting the commercial secret, respecting everything that should be in the sphere of privacy, but partnering with them to increase the production. And we succeed in Europe to increase the production. It will be increased with voluntary transfer of technology worldwide. But if we waive the patents, the process will be even longer. There will be facilities when it maybe will not need so much vaccines, and we will disincentivize future investment in R&D because we'll open a Pandora box with this decision.
That's a lot of points for Mr. Botenga to answer to.
The matter's quite simple, really. I mean, you've got factories that are ready to do it, and they need two things. They need the know-how, and they need the right to use the know-how. So if you transfer the know-how, but you do not give them the right to use the know-how, then there's no sense in doing it, right? Now, if you just give them the right without the know-how, indeed, there's no sense either. But that's not a reason to do neither. It's a reason to do both, right? So let's transfer this technology. The World Health Organization has put up this platform to transfer technology. The new modern mRNA vaccines are easier, have a technology that's easier to transfer. So let's do that, and let's give these countries the right to actually use then these vaccines. Now, this voluntary system of the European Union, this has been since over a year, right? It's not working. It's not working. The countries there, they still don't have the vaccines.
Well, what about the scarcity of raw materials, that Mr. Bouchoy brought up?
That's actually a really interesting point. We've had this problem also with let's say, the more classical vaccines, the classical vaccines, with technologies where we need bioreactor bags and whatever. And what have we seen? That indeed the ban and the patents that are on these raw materials, because these raw materials, they're not just dug up, right? I mean, they're produced. So, and this production is actually controlled by a few companies today, be it Merck, be it a number of it. So, indeed, this solution of a temporary waiver on intellectual property rights would apply to all parts of the vaccine. And so this is actually interesting. If we lift patents, we also get more raw materials.
In terms of this issue about the raw materials, the technology and other things you brought up, Mr. Bouchoy, the European Union countries are spending money in terms of buying vaccine doses that they then donate. Is it not sort of the same thing, really, if they spent the money on perhaps donating raw materials or putting investment into the technology that you say is lacking?
Well, this is something different because the technology are with the private companies which have the know-how, which have the specialists, which also cannot be overnight. You cannot train someone to be an expert in producing vaccine in few weeks or even maybe not in few months. At least this is what the experts are saying. So producing the vaccines is the responsibility of companies, purchasing them, of course, with a fair price, and then part of them donating for the poor country is the responsibility of the member states. The member states could also incentivize the building of new facilities for vaccination. And under Commissioner Breton leadership and with the involvement of European Commission, we increased the capacity production in Europe and with our help also even outside Europe. And this is something very important that could be also supported and incentivized. The current companies which have the know-how, which have the experience, which have the also we are sure that the quality is there, the safety is there, could be incentivized to increase their production capacity worldwide and then give to the those countries where there is a problem.
Mr. Botenga wants to come in.
No, but this is the interesting part of it, really. What we are doing is we're giving free money to these companies and then saying, do with it as you like. You know, we're not going to impose any conditions, and indeed, they're even increasing the prices. Imagine that. So in the new contracts, new purchasing contracts we've got with these companies for the vaccines, the prices are higher than they were before. Imagine that. Like they've got less production costs, and we're paying more. We're paying more, you know. Why is this? This is just profits they're making. And what we should say is today, in this pandemic, health really should get priority over profit.
Well, the prices are confidential. I'm not sure if you can know the prices.
Myself, this is one of the trends. Why aren't these prices public?
Even if I'm the president of an important committee in the European Parliament, I don't know the prices. And the prices
are you not worried about this? That they are like not even transparent on this, and we know the prices of the contracts. Why? Because they've been leaked to the press. But indeed, you're right. And as a president of this important committee, you know, we should be together in this demand for transparency.
The confidentiality of a contract is something that was already in place for many years. I don't see a problem here as long as European Commission and with the support of member states will guarantee that they have the best negotiation for European money, for
these
European
are public
funds.
The public should know what, I mean, if you are using the money of the people should know how this money is being used.
But this is not the most important issue here. The most important issue is that we need these vaccines. We had these vaccines way before it was first seen, because you know that for a new vaccine, for a new drug, you need a lot of time. We had this situation where the industry mobilized, and we had in a record time.
Well,
this is something very.
We paid. We paid for the research and the development. We paid for the production. You said it yourself, production capacity. We took the risk. If it wouldn't work out, we gave them an insurance policy.
Incentives.
And then in the end, you call it incentives, but basically it is our money given to the companies, and then they do the job. So in the end, right, if we pay for so much of it, so much of the research and development, so much of the production, why should the product not belong to us?
Because this is a fundamental principle of free market. We talk about also incentivize R&D. It's more complicated than just nationalized or...
We'll have to leave it there, yeah.
Okay.
You obviously see that it's an exceptional situation, and that's one of the disagreements.
Open up Pandora's box.
This is the question. In an exceptional situation, do you give priority to the market or to the health of the people?
Well, we'll have to leave it there for now, I'm afraid, gentlemen.
Market will assure health of the people. Otherwise, we'll have more delays and more problems.
I don't believe that.
I think we will have to continue this debate a bit later on, but thank you both very much for this lively discussion. And thanks to you for watching as well. See you soon on France 24.